Hello everyone and welcome to the channel and to another Warhammer The Horus Heresy 3rd edition battle report. The day that will live in infamy for 10,000 years and more is over. The black sands of the Urgal Depression are covered with thousands upon thousands of corpses, still in the flickering light between the wrecks of burning vehicles. The massacre is over. The traitors have slaughtered almost 3 entire legions of their former brothers. But not every loyal servant of the Emperor lies slain. Those who could break out have fled to the desolate wastes and dark canyons of Isstvan V, their hearts filled with bitterness and the burning desire for vengeance. The War Master has ordered that all loyalists must be hunted down, and that suits the fugitives just fine, for all they can do now is hope in vain for deliverance and make the traitors bleed. Today's battle is 2,500 points, the heart of battle, with hammer and anvil deployment, as a company of the World Eaters, one of many, has been sent out into the merciless desolation of Isstvan V, hunting for survivors of the 19th Legion. But some of the Ravens have reformed and rearmed, and now they wait in the shadows, ready to strike. For more Horus Heresy videos, including battle reports, army showcases, tactics and rules discussions, please check out the other videos on the channel. And please give us a couple of cheeky little clicks on like and subscribe while you're there. For now, let's take a look at the armies. And we have got 2,500 points of Raven Guard today, commanded by the infamous Shadow Captain Stephanie. Say hi, Stephanie.
Hi.
Right, I'm going to go through this list again. I'll probably need some help, but I think I know roughly what I'm doing, although I'm sure there's plenty of people around that would disagree, but let's press on. Right, we're starting with a Crusade primary detachment, and it's led by this army's warlord. In a high command slot, we have got a Raven Guard Praetor. He's got a jump pack and a Thunderhammer. And we have a single command choice. He's in a prime slot. He's a Centurion with a Power Fist and a Vexilla, and because he's in a prime slot, he is a Paragon of Battle. We've got a single troops choice. It's 15 Assault Marines. We've got 3 Power Axes in there, and the Sergeant has brought along a pair of Raven's Talons. And because they are in a prime slot, we've got a logistical benefit. We've got these guys with their shiny gold shoulder pads. They look like some sort of command squad.
It's a Praetorian command squad with power axes and a box.
Right, okay. And there's 8 of them, and I guess they have that 2-up save artificer armor, so they could be pretty nasty. Weapon skill 5, and they've all got power axes, so we go. And then finally, to round out the Crusade primary detachment, we have got 2 rhinos. Both of them have pintle mounted multi-melters. Now, because this army is led today by a Praetor, he's a high command choice, so we've got an Apex detachment, and it is an Army Vanguard detachment. And in the first slot, we have got the much feared Raven Guard Dark Furies. There's 10 of them. They've all got their Raven's Talons and precision strike, rending and breaching, and lots of attacks. They're also very fast. Today, because they're in a prime slot, their chooser of the slaying is a Master Sergeant as well. So I think that means he's got 6 attacks, if I've added that up correctly. Very, very scary squad. And then moving on to the second Elite's choice, we've got another very, very scary squad. We've got 10 Seekers with their very dangerous Kraken bolters. Now, I know for a fact that we have 2 squads of 10 of these available, but Stephanie has kindly only taken 1, so thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Right, and then moving on, we have got a squad. This is the first time I've actually seen it used on the table. It is a veteran heavy support squad, but they don't have heavy weapons today. They have melter guns. There are 9 of them, and they're pretty good. Stephanie, why did you pick these today?
They have 2 wounds each, and they can volley fire with their melters.
Ah, yes. That's pretty much the difference, those 2 things, between them and a normal support squad. I think the ability to to volley fire with implacable advance could be pretty nasty with those guys, but we shall see. So we've got plenty of elite troops for the Ravens there. So moving on to the auxiliary detachments, we've got two of them because we've got a Centurion. The first is the recon scouty one, whose name I can't remember.
That's the combat pioneers.
Ah, yeah, okay, good. And looks like we've got a squad of 1, 2, 3, 4, 7 outriders. They've all got twin plasma guns by the look of it. So they could be pretty nasty. There's a lot of firepower there. And then the old reliable for the Raven Guard. We've got a Legion reconnaissance squad. They've all got Nemesis bolters. And don't forget with Raven Guard, if anyone tries to shoot at a Raven Guard at ranges of further than 18 inches, they fire snapshots at them. So that can be pretty handy for long range snipers like them. Then finally, second detachment for the Centurion. It's a single heavy support detachment and it's got one war engine. It's a Contemptor Dreadnought with 2 twin-linked las cannon to provide, from the looks of it, some anti-armour fire for this army. But I must say, I'm really liking the look of this army. They are the survivors of the Dropsite Massacre and they are out for vengeance today. $2,500 points of some of my very favourites. Yes, it's the 12th Legion. It is the World Eaters hunting the Ravens today. And we have got a Crusade primary detachment led by, in a high command slot, a Praetor. He has a combi melter and a power fist. And we have 2 command slots filled. We have a prime slot filled with a Legion champion. He's got his Paragon blade and he's been upgraded to be a Paragon of battle. And we also have a Legion Centurion. He just has a power fist. We've got 2 troops choices. The first is a squad of 15 despoilers. They've got chain axes. They've also got a Vexilla, a Nuncio Vox, and their sergeant has a power fist. And then we have another identical squad of despoilers. Now, one of these is in a prime slot, so we've got a logistical benefit selected. It is a Cataphracti command squad. 3 of them have power fists. 1 of them has a chain fist. There's a pair of lightning claws in there as well, and a Legion standard. Now, because this army is led by a Praetor, we've got an Apex detachment. We have got Army Vanguard. And in the first prime slot of elites, we have a Legion Veteran Assault Squad. Now, they have just all got chain axes, but being World Eaters, when they charge, they will get 4 attacks each. Weapon skill 5, strength 5. I really want to try these guys out and see how well they do. And to help them out a bit, since they're in a prime slot, we have upgraded their sergeant, who's got a power fist, to be a master sergeant. So that gives him an extra attack. That means he'll have 5 on the charge. Could be quite an effective squad and relatively inexpensive in terms of points. And we've got 1 more unit in this detachment. It is the Red Butchers. There's 6 of them. 5 of them have their axes and they're led by the Devoured, who has his Butcher chain fists. Right, in terms of auxiliary detachments, the Legion Champion has brought 1 along with him. It's a tactical support detachment, only a single choice. We've got 5 World Eaters with auto cannons. They're a heavy support squad just to give some covering fire. And they've also got a Nuncio Vox in there. And then the Centurion has brought along 2 auxiliary detachments. They are both armour. The first is armoured support. We've got the first slot filled with a Predator. It's just got a Predator cannon and heavy bolter sponsons. And then we've got a slightly more special Predator. It's got las cannon sponsons, but it's also got the heavy conversion beam cannon, which I am very much looking forward to trying out. And then finally, we've got an armoured fist detachment. Can't go wrong with a pair of Land Raiders. These are the World Eaters. They are hunting the Ravens through the desolate wastes of Isstvan V. And if there's one thing you need for hunting a cunning, sneaky foe, it is a bunch of screaming maniacs. Right, let's move on to deployment. And the armies are deployed. And as you can see here, what has happened is somewhere high in the skies, or perhaps in low orbit above Isstvan V, A bulk hauler has been attacked by the traitors, either their ships or their aircraft, and has been severely damaged and has spilled a lot of its cargo, which has plummeted to earth here in the wastes. And the Raven Guard have thought, right, this seems like a likely spot to ambush some traitors. So today we are doing Heart of Battle, and we've got 3 objectives in the center of the table. We've got one here represented by this red barrel, which is worth 3 victory points. Over here in the World Eaters lines there, amidst the despoilers, we've got another one, that's worth 1. And then all the way over behind the Raven Guard lines here, we have got another one, which is worth 1. There is also 3 victory points available for Slay the Warlord, First Strike, and Last Man Standing. There won't be any giant killer today. So starting off with the World Eaters, and their tactic today is highly advanced and cunning. They're going to charge straight up this valley and brutally dismember everyone. So we start off on their left flank. We have got a Land Raider with the Red Butchers inside, and that's supported by the Predator with autocannon and heavy bolters. Then around the objective we've got a squad of despoilers. They are led by the Legion Champion, and giving fire support from the top of this rocky outcrop we have got the heavy support squad with autocannon. Right in the centre we've got the Praetor in a Land Raider with his Cataphracti retinue, and he has got the Predator with a heavy conversion beamer in support. Very much looking forward to using that crazy weapon today. Moving on to the right of the Land Raider, we have got another squad of despoilers. They're led by a Centurion. And finally, leaping over these rocks, we have got the Veteran Assault Squad. And the Raven Guard. On their right flank, we have got Rhino containing the Praetorian Command Squad and the Centurion, and they are supported by the Contemptor Dreadnought with las cannons, and then we've got the Dark Furies there as well. Now on top of the ridge we have got the Raven Guard Reconnaissance Squad. They have got Nemesis bolters, they've got a great field of fire, and they're also holding the objective just tucked away there. Now they do have the support unit rule, but that objective is only worth 1 anyway, so that shouldn't make any difference. There, behind the ridge, we have got another Rhino containing the Veteran Support Squad with melter guns. And then on the far side, we have got the large Raven Guard Assault Squad led by the Praetor. And over on the far left, we've got the Outriders, and their bikes have the very dangerous twin plasma guns. And then in the centre, we've got something I really like. We've got a deployment here that is both tactical and fluffy. So what's happened is the Seekers have infiltrated forwards. The Raven Guard do have the first turn, so they should be able to claim 3 points for that objective. So that's the tactical reason, and of course the fluffy reason is it's like they are drawing the World Eaters into this valley so that the rest of the Raven Guard can ambush and destroy them. Right, that's deployment. Let's see if the World Eaters can foil the Raven Guard's plan by seizing the initiative. Right, as Shadow Captain Stephanie looks on nervously, we are going to seize the initiative. And with a roll of a 4, we don't. So we're going to be going into Raven Guard, turn 1. End of Raven Guard movement phase, turn 1, and the trap has been sprung, as over on their left. The Outriders motor forward to bring their plasma guns into range of the World Eaters Veteran Assault Squad. Now we are counting these rocks as area terrain that provides a 6-up cover save, so maybe that will help the World Eaters out. Next to the Bikers, the Praetor is leading the Assault Marines forward, and then just under the rock arch, the Rhino has advanced slightly, but it still wants to stay out of line of sight of all the World Eaters' heavy weapons, particularly their Land Raiders and their Predators. In the centre, the Seekers have held position on the objective. They're preparing to give fire, and so are the snipers on top of the ridge. Over on the other flank, the Raven Guard have been a bit more cagey. The Rhino and the Dark Furies have moved forward, but they have stayed outside of the maximum charge range of the Red Butchers in their Land Raider. I personally think that the Dark Furies might be able to beat the Red Butchers, even if the Red Butchers charge them, because they've got so many rending, breaching attacks, but we shall see. And of course the Praetorian Command Squad are in the Rhino as well. And finally, the Raven Guard Contemptor with twin las cannon has stayed stationary, preparing to give fire. He's got plenty of targets to pick from. End of Raven Guard shooting phase, turn 1, and with the first volley of the game, the Raven Guard Seekers rose from the Black Sands and calmly executed the World Eaters Legion champion with several bolter rounds to the head, and they took out 3 more despoilers from this squad as well. Seekers in this edition really are terrifying, but that was my mistake putting the Legion champion there where he could be shot down so quickly. Never mind, at least the despoilers have passed their panic check. And up on the ridge, the Raven Guard snipers gave fire against the World Eaters with autocannons on this rocky outcrop. As you can see, there are no more World Eaters there because the Raven Guard Recon Marines shot down 4 of them, and then the Raven Guard Contemptor Dreadnought decided that he didn't want one World Eater still standing up on that rocky outcrop, so he blasted him to pieces with his twin-link las cannon in order to secure first strike. Finally, over on this flank, this Rhino tried a long-range shot against the World Eater's Land Raider to try to get a glancing hit, maybe to stop it from advancing, but unfortunately for the Ravens, it missed. And finally, the Raven Guard Outriders opened up with their twin plasma guns on the World Eaters Veteran Assault Marines. They got plenty of hits and no overloads, luckily for them, but they didn't get that many breaches. Still, 2 World Eaters went down. And with no assaults, that brings Raven Guard turn 1 to a close. That was a very impressive opening volley. And the Raven Guard are going to get some victory points as well, because of course the Seekers are going to get 3 for the objective in the centre. And then up on the ridge, the Raven Guard Recon Marines are going to get another 1 for that objective. And of course the Raven Guard have scored first strike as well, which is going to give them 7 victory points. Let's see how the World Eaters respond going into their first turn. End of World Eaters movement phase turn 1, and I told you guys what the plan was going to be, and the World Eaters are following it. They are doing full advance. Over on this flank, the Veteran Assault Marines are moving forward. Can they take on the Praetor and the Assault Squad, or maybe a cheeky charge against the Bikes if they can brave some Overwatch? We shall see. This Despoiler Squad have moved up. Now, if they can get a charge onto the Seekers, they should be able to score the central objective with line 2. And of course, the Seekers' days are numbered anyway, because the Praetor has rumbled up in his Land Raider and got out with all of his retinue Terminators. So the Seekers, they were the bait, and it looks like now they're going to pay for it. Over on the World Eaters' left flank, the Red Butchers did indeed find that they are about an inch out of their maximum charge range, so they've stayed in their Land Raider, but it has advanced, and so has this squad of Despoilers. But the last Marine has stayed within 3 inches of that objective. They've got line 2, so they might as well pick up some victory points as well. And then finally, the World Eaters Predators. This one over on the extreme left has stayed stationary, probably preparing to give some fire against the Dark Furies. And this one has shifted over. It's had to move in order to bring all of its guns to bear against the Dark Furies as well. And of course, the problem for the World Eaters is that at this sort of range, all shots against the Raven Guard, if it's against the Dark Furies, well, if it's against any of the Raven Guard, because of where the World Eaters Predators are going to be snapshots, thanks to their right of war. So that is a bit tricky, but it looks like the World Eaters are certainly going to hit home hard in the centre. And let's see. The World Eaters shooting phase has opened with the Predator with the heavy conversion beam cannon in the top right there, opening fire all the way across onto the Dark Furies. They immediately decided to use the Raven Guard advance reaction, Shadow's Veil. They haven't moved, but they have benefited somewhat from the shrouded save, as the heavy conversion beam cannon managed to hit and wound 5 of them. 1 made a cover save and 2 made their shrouded save, so only 2 have gone down, and the 2 las cannons on the Predator missed. The other Predator, finding that its heavy bolters were out of range of everything else, decided to open fire on the Dark Furies as well, but between having to fire snapshots and their armour and their shrouded, it managed to do absolutely no damage. Seeing as how the Dark Furies now have shrouded on them for the rest of this phase, the two World Eaters Land Raiders decided to switch their targets and target the Raven Guard Recon Marines on the ridge. They were still firing snapshots, but between their twin las cannons and heavy bolters, they did manage to shoot down 3 of the Ravens. But the Ravens are not panicking, they are happy with their position. Let's see if they're still happy after the World Eaters assault phase, because the World Eaters have decided not to fire with anyone else. They don't want to give any chance of return fire or anything like that. They just want to get stuck in, and they're going to do so. World Eaters assault phase turn 1, and a complete blunder has been made by me. As the World Eaters veteran assault marines decided to charge the bikes, they made their setup move, they fired some pistol shots that did nothing, and then the bikes volley fired. Now they have implacable advance and firestorm, so they fired all of their twin plasma guns at full ballistic skill, which blasted apart 3 World Eaters, and then the cunning Ravens declared the evade reaction. They have fallen back just out of charge range. The only bright spot for the World Eaters is one of the Raven Guard bikers managed to blow himself up with overload, but that is a very bad start for the World Eaters this phase. And in the centre, the Praetor led his lumbering cataphracti bodyguards into the Seekers. Of course, the Ravens declared Overwatch. Thankfully, precision shot does not work with reactions, but still, their murderous fire continued. They managed to shoot down 2 cataphracti Terminators and wound another. But the Praetor has unsurprisingly made his charge. And there's some good news for the World Eaters, as the Despoilers made a nice long charge as well. It looks like this is going to be it for the Seekers, and it also looks like the World Eaters are going to achieve their objective of grabbing the central objective on the table. And unsurprisingly enough, the Seekers are no more. They struck first, but could not do any damage to the charging World Eaters, and then with a roar of chain axes and the crackling of power fists, all of the Raven Guard were easily wiped out, and the World Eaters have consolidated. So they are holding the central objective with the line unit. That's going to be 5 victory points. They got first strike, obviously, for the Seekers, which is going to be another 3. And then this objective here is worth victory points. Just 1, but another 2, because they are a line unit. So that is 3, 4, 5, 6, plus another 5. That is 11. So the World Eaters had a bit of a mixed first turn, really, but they certainly have managed to do a good job in terms of victory points. Let's see how the Ravens respond. End of Raven Guard movement phase turn 2, and the World Eaters here on Isstvan V have got problems, because the Praetor has led his assault marines round to envelop them from one direction, and then from the other side the Dark Furies have leapt forward. They really do move a long way. They have surrounded the Praetor and his bodyguard, and then the Raven Guard Rhino has come motoring up, and all the veteran marines with melter guns have hopped out. So that, yeah, that's a problem. We're going to see how that pans out. Over here, the bikers haven't even moved. They're confident that they can blast apart the rest of the World Eaters veterans with their plasma guns. And of course, on the ridge, the Raven Guard with sniper rifles are still there. There's still 7 of them, so they can give fire wherever necessary. And over on this flank, both the Rhino, containing the Praetorian Command Squad, and the Contemptor Dreadnought have stayed still. They are going to try to take out this Land Raider. It's a long shot, but we shall see as we go into the Raven Guard's second shooting phase. Right, now just to note, I did want to reposition the Praetor and his bodyguard, but the Ravens have been extremely cunning. As I said, they have completely surrounded them. So the first volley is going to be from the melter guns. I'm sensing we might even get a Slay the Warlord. And it very nearly was Slay the Warlord, as 4 melter wounds got through the invulnerable saves, taking out the last 3 Terminators and leaving the World Eaters Praetor alive, just barely, on 1 wound. I don't think he's going to last much longer somehow. And the Raven Guard have got some more shooting to come. In fact, are the snipers going to take him out? Let's see. And with grim relish, the Raven Guard Recon Marines targeted all their sniper rifles on the World Eater's Praetor. They managed to get 2 breaching wounds on him. He failed both saves. He's dead. That is Slay the Warlord, and the Raven Guard look on with a measure of grim satisfaction. Now, just something worth noting. I did consider declaring the brutal tide reaction when the Melters first targeted the Praetor and his Cataphracti bodyguard, but I didn't for 2 reasons. One, I thought the Melters would probably wipe them out anyway, despite the Eternal Warrior, so that wouldn't have made much difference. And 2, the Praetor himself, who was always going to be the last model removed because I didn't want to give up Slay the Warlord, was slightly more than his maximum charge distance away from the Melters. So that was a bit of a shame. But the World Eaters have had some luck over on this flank. The Rhino did manage to hit the Land Raider with its multi-melter, but it did nothing. And then the Raven Guard Contemptor Dreadnought managed to miss with 3 out of his 4 shots. The 1 shot that did hit did nothing to the Land Raider either. Up we've got some more firing over the far side of the battlefield. And the Outriders open fire once again on the veterans, managing to blow apart 2 of them, but at least another Raven Guard biker managed to blow himself up with another overload roll, and then the multi-melter on top of the Rhino managed to take out another World Eater, but the 2 remaining ones have passed panic. I don't think it matters. I think we're going to have the bikers moving forward and eliminating them in a firestorm somehow, so this flank is a bit of a problem for the 12th Legion, and a massacre is about to occur in the centre. Just note once again that the sneaky Ravens did not shoot with their Praetor or their Assault Marines because once again they did not want to trigger brutal tide. This Shadow Captain is cunning indeed. Okay, so what's happened so far in the Raven Guard's second assault phase is the Outriders motored up and contemptuously blasted the 2 remaining World Eaters veteran Assault Marines to death, and in the centre all the World Eaters are about to be completely slaughtered as the Praetor and his assault squad and the Dark Furies all easily got in with their setup moves. This is going to be a massacre. Realising that the Dark Furies with all their precision attacks would probably shred him before he got to attack anyway, the World Eater Centurion decided to use heroic intervention and issued a challenge. Unfortunately for him, the Raven Guard Praetor immediately declared decapitation strike and battered him to death immediately with his Thunder Hammer. Off to a bad start then, 12th Legion. The Raven Guard Praetor automatically went first with a single attack which managed to hit and wound, and of course the way decapitation strike works is he then got to make all the rest of his attacks first as well, and the World Eater frankly stood no chance at all. Let's move on to the next initiative step, and more good news for the 12th Legion. It is the Dark Furies. The Dark Furies unleashed their Raven's talons and did 16 wounds on the World Eaters, wiping them out in a single initiative step, and both they and the Assault Marines have consolidated. The Raven Guard are now back in control of that central objective, but the Dark Furies did rob the Ravens of the chance to score any Vanguard points. Fortunately for the Raven Guard, the Dark Furies don't have Vanguard, so they can score 3 victory points for that objective. It has been a crippling blow dealt to the World Eaters during the Raven Guard's second turn, and they're going to score a lot of victory points as well. They're going to get 3 for the central objective. They've still got their Recon Marines holding the objective here. That's another one. And of course, 3 more for Slay the Warlord as they mercilessly shot down the World Eaters Praetor. That's another 7 points for the turn, taking their total to 14. They're in the lead, and the World Eaters, frankly, are reeling, wondering if they've even got enough left to take on the Ravens. Let's see as we go into their second turn. Right, as we go into the World Eater's second turn, I will admit that tactical errors have been made by me. I have completely hung the veteran assault squad out to dry, got them all killed chasing down the bikers who they were never realistically going to be able to catch. I really underestimated how good Dark Furies are, despite the fact I always go on about how good they are. And then the main one, which is forgetting completely about the existence of this squad of veterans with melter guns, which cost me my command squad. This is not helped by the fact that now I only have one scoring unit, which is those despoilers over there. I have 2 land raiders still, I have 2 predators who cannot score, and of course I've got the red butchers in their land raider and they can't score either. But we have a plan. Let's get to it. End of World Eaters movement phase turn 2, and their plan is already proving to be a little bit tricky. This land raider has motored up onto the rocky outcrop and the red butchers have made an appearance. They've come spilling out. They were going to charge straight in to the Dark Furies, but the Dark Furies have repositioned back, and that is going to be a bit of a problem because this squad of despoilers wanted the red butchers to go in, kill the Dark Furies, and then they could either charge in and consolidate onto the objective with their line 2 and score it, or maybe they could have just run straight past and scored it from under the nose of the Ravens, because the plan was for the land raiders and the predators, which have repositioned slightly, to fire into the Raven Guard assault marines and perhaps kill them, drive them off, something. It's desperate stuff, really. Now it's a tricky decision for the World Eaters. They are still within 3 inches of this objective, so they can score 3 points for that just by staying where they are and not charging, but this is a real head scratcher. Anyway, let's see what the World Eaters decide to do in their second shooting phase. We have had a good opening salvo from the World Eaters from their Predator with the heavy conversion beam cannon. It targeted the Raven Guard assault marines. It actually missed but didn't scatter very far and still caught 5 of them in the blast, and all of them were instantly evaporated. Another one was killed by the las cannon as well, and there's plenty more World Eaters vehicles ready to open fire as well. And more good news for the World Eaters, as their Predator, with its Predator cannon and its heavy bolters, open fire on the Raven Guard assault marines and managed to gun down another 4 of them. That squad is looking pretty fragile now. And the excellent job by the World Eaters vehicle crews continued as this Land Raider, with its las cannons and its twin heavy bolters, managed to take out all the rest of the assault marines, leaving the Praetor standing alone. And could be bad news for him. We've got another Land Raider ready to fire. And the Raven Guard Praetor has had a lucky escape, as one of the Land Raiders' twin las cannon targeted him but missed with both shots. The other las cannon did manage to blow apart one of the Dark Furies, and then the twin heavy bolter opened fire and took out one of the veterans with melter guns. The World Eaters vehicles certainly done a lot better job than their assault troops have done so far, despite the fact that they're almost always firing snapshots. These despoilers opened fire with their bolt pistols into the Dark Furies and didn't manage to do any wounds. But as we move into the assault phase, it looks like the World Eaters' plan, for this turn at least, may come off. We just need a couple of decent charge rolls. And after their setup moves and charges, both the despoilers and the Red Butchers have got into the Dark Furies. This is going to be a very interesting one, because we've got some very different units involved in this combat. Now, the Dark Furies are going to go first. Let's see what they can do. Right, the Dark Furies that had to attack the Red Butchers did not fare very well. They got a few precision wounds that were rending. They put him on the Devoured, but he made all of his invulnerable saves, and then the rest of their attacks didn't do anything to any other Red Butcher either, so that was disappointing. But the Dark Furies that decided to attack the Despoilers did a lot better. They managed to kill 8 of them, including their Vexilla, their Nuncio Vox, and their Sergeant, with a lot of precision hits. Now it's the World Eaters' turn. Could we finally, hopefully, see the end of these annoying Raven Guard elite assault troops? At initiative step 3, the 4 Despoilers went in with their chain axes. They had 12 attacks. They managed to kill 1 Dark Fury with a shredding blow, and they wounded another. And then, still at initiative step 3, the Butchers went in with their Butcher axes. They managed to do 7 wounds, which took out the wounded Dark Fury and has killed 3 more. There are only 2 Raven Guard left, and the Devoured is revving his chain fists. And with his 4 attacks with his Butcher chain fist, the Butcher managed to get 2 hits. It was just enough to cleave through both of the remaining Dark Furies. They are wiped out, and the Despoilers have achieved their objective. They have consolidated. They're going to score 5 points for that because they have line 2. And the Red Butchers, they've consolidated as well. Don't really know what to do with them because there's all these ravens with melter guns. The praetor's still there. Should have mentioned he passed his panic check, unsurprisingly. And other than that, really, all the World Eaters have left is their line of armour at the back, which admittedly is providing some good firepower, but not very useful for scoring victory points. But either way, the World Eaters have managed to score 5 victory points this turn. That takes their total to 16. They are actually leading the Raven Guard by 2 points currently. But I think as we go into the Raven Guard third turn, that is going to change. End of Raven Guard movement phase turn 3, and it looks like the cunning Ravens are moving to administer the death blow. The bikes have moved round to give fire on the remaining World Eaters in the centre, and this Rhino has come round to shoot with its multi-melter as well. And then there's been a lot of cunning going on here. The veteran Ravens with melter guns have moved. They have positioned themselves in such a way that a brutal tide reaction cannot reach them with a charge, and also a reposition reaction from the Red Butchers cannot take them out of melter range either. So that is extremely worrying for me, because Eternal Warrior on the Red Butchers will not help against damage 3 melter guns. And the Raven Guard Praetor, he remembers his training. It's strike and fade. He's not just going to stand out there and throw himself towards a load of World Eaters vehicles with las cannons. He has moved back. He's rushed, in fact, into the cover of the ridge. Now the only World Eaters vehicle that can target him is the Predator with its heavy conversion beam cannon, but it looks like that's going to take some fire from the Contemptor Dreadnought on the ridge. And of course the Recon Marines have held position. They're still scoring that objective every turn and shooting down World Eaters from long range. And finally, on the other side of the battlefield, the Praetorian Command Squad, still in their Rhino, don't really know what to do, so they've decided to motor up and try to take out the other World Eaters Predator with their multi-melter. Let's see what happens in the Raven Guard's third shooting phase. The Raven Guard veterans with melters open fire on the Red Butchers, managing to take out 2 of them, so the bikes decided to add their fire as well, but it was not a very effective volley at all. They managed to get 4 normal wounds and 2 breaches, all of which were saved by the Red Butcher's cataphracti armour, but the Rhino opened up with its multi-melter and did manage to take down another one. The 7 remaining Recon Marines on the ridge opened fire on the despoilers. They managed to take out 3 of them, but there is 1 chap left and he has passed his panic check with a double 1. That is an annoying problem for the Raven Guard because, of course, he's still got line. He's still holding that central objective. The Contemptor Dreadnought opened fire at extreme range, right at the end of its 48-inch range, actually. It managed to get 2 hits on the World Eaters Predator, but with the roll of a 1 and a 2, both bounced harmlessly off. And then the Rhino over on this flank opened fire, managed to get a penetrating hit on the other Predator, but it's not in melter range, so it's just done 3 damage. That has been quite a disappointing turn for the Ravens. They have not managed to remove the units they wanted, and they're only going to score the 1 victory point for the Recon Marines holding that objective. That means their total is 15 to the World Eaters 16. Unbelievably, the World Eaters are technically winning. Let's see if they can capitalise on their good fortune in their third turn. End of World Eaters movement phase turn 3, and a question has arisen in this game, and that question is, does some shred of tactical awareness still exist in the deranged mind of a Red Butcher? Because they have decided not to charge wildly into this line of melter and plasma death. They have decided to charge up the ridge into the snipers and maybe drive them off the objective. That is tactically very useful. Thank you, Red Butchers. The last despoiler, well, he's just going to score as many points as he can before he inevitably dies. And for the rest of the World Eaters, it's all just 2 Land Raiders and 2 Predators. They've all got very good lines of fire. They might as well stay stationary to maximise the damage of their weapons. They've got a lot of Ravens over there, a lot of high-value Ravens to target. Let's see how they get on. The World Eaters shooting phase opened with the Predator From long range with its heavy conversion beamer, it once again managed to hit despite firing snapshots and managed to blow apart 4 of the Raven Guard with melter guns. Unfortunately, its las cannons both missed, but still, that is a good start with 3 vehicles left to fire. The highly effective fire from the World Eaters continues. Despite firing snapshots, this Predator and this Land Raider managed to finish off all of the remaining veterans with melter guns. Helped out by the fact they're stationary, the las cannons were damaged too, the Predator cannon. It was enough to take them out, and that leaves this Land Raider free to fire over at the bikes. This Land Raider only managed 1 las cannon hit on the Outriders, but it was enough to blow one apart, and that brings the shooting phase to a close. Now, we're going to move on. Can the Red Butchers finally take this ridge from the Raven Guard? And bellowing their rage to the sky at the top of the ridge, we have got the Red Butchers. They waded up through sniper fire, all pinging harmlessly off of their cataphracti armor, and then they got into the Raven Guard Recon Marines. They absolutely butchered them, which is appropriate enough. I actually thought that Raven Guard Recon Marines could evade, but it turns out reconnaissance squads don't have light, so they couldn't, and that really sealed their fate. Now, the Red Butchers can't score because they have heedless, but that is going to stop the Ravens from scoring, and that has actually been a very good turn for the World Eaters. They've done quite a lot of damage, and thanks to one despoiler in the middle, they're going to get another 5 victory points. That takes them up to 21. So they are quite a way in the lead, and the Ravens now have problems of their own to deal with as we go into their final turn. This has been a tricky final movement phase for the Ravens. They have realised they are 6 points behind, and that means 2 things. It means they need to score the central objective, and it means they need to get last man standing. Now, they can do both of these things, but there's some risk involved because the only unit they have available to score the central objective is the Praetor. And of course, him jumping out into the open in front of all the World Eaters vehicles is risking slay the Warlord. But the Ravens don't have a lot of choice. Over in the distance, the Bikers and the Rhino, they have just adjusted slightly. They want to try to take out the Red Butchers. Last man standing is going to be important. We've got the fire available from the Contemptor Dreadnought with his twin las cannons. He can add it perhaps to the vehicles or perhaps to the Red Butchers if necessary, but of course they have Eternal Warrior, so las cannons, not ideal to deal with them. This Rhino has stayed still. It's now in melter range, so it's going to try a shot possibly on the back of this Land Raider, and then perhaps use the supporting fire from the Contemptor to finish it off. If that is successful, another long shot. Meanwhile, the Centurion and the Praetorian Command Squad have finally made an appearance. They are going to try to take out this damaged Predator. Last man standing could well prove crucial. Raven Guard shooting phase turn 4, and it started quite well for the Ravens as the Bikers managed to get 5 breaching hits on the Red Butchers. They took out one of them, and then a sharpshooting shot from the multi-melter took out another. There is only the Devoured left. Is the Contemptor Dreadnought going to have to switch targets to deal with him? In other news, the Raven Guard Praetor contemptuously drew his bolt pistol and shot down the last World Eaters despoiler, so he will be claiming that objective. Good news for the Raven Guard, as the Contemptor Dreadnought did manage to get 2 wounds through the invulnerable save of the Devoured on top of the ridge. The Red Butchers are no more, but unfortunately, even though the Rhino managed to hit the back of this Land Raider with its multi-melter, it rolled a 1. So the last thing for the Ravens to do is to get into this Predator with the command squad. And in the final assault for the Raven Guard, the Centurion led the Praetorian Command Squad into the Predator, and they easily wrecked it. So that is the end of the 4th Raven Guard turn. They are going to score 3 victory points thanks to the Praetor there in the centre, and that takes them on to 18. Now the World Eaters are on 21. So if the Raven Guard can get last man standing, it will be a draw, otherwise the World Eaters will win. Now the Raven Guard do have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 units left, and the World Eaters, they only have 2 land raiders and a predator, so it looks like the Ravens might score last man standing, but it will all be for naught if the World Eaters can slay the Warlord. And this Praetor is looking a little bit vulnerable. Let's see what happens as we go into the final turn for the World Eaters. And the World Eaters realise there is no point moving. Their 3 vehicles are in as good a position as they can be to take out the Raven Guard Praetor. So we're going to go straight on to the shooting phase. And it's open well for the World Eaters as the Predator managed to get a wounding hit with one of his las cannon, and the Raven Guard Praetor failed his invulnerable save. He is down to 2 wounds remaining, facing down the fire of 2 land raiders. Thankfully for the Ravens, the heavy conversion beamer missed, but it's looking grim for their Warlord. And the first land raider opens up on the Raven Guard Praetor, only manages to get 1 hit with its las cannon. It wounded, but it was saved by the Praetor's invulnerable save, but it could not save him from the twin las cannon on this land raider. 2 hits, 2 wounds, he failed both saves and was blown to pieces. A sad day for the Ravens, but a good day for the World Eaters. That brings the battle to a close. Now the Raven Guard, they are going to score last man standing. They have more units left than the 3 that the World Eaters have that are all vehicles, so their final score will be 21. Now the World Eaters were on 21, but that Slay the Warlord takes them on to 24. So, unbelievably, given what happened in turns 1 and 2, the World Eaters have managed to triumph in terms of victory points, although it's hard to feel that this is a victory for them, given that they were badly slaughtered in the early stages of the battle, and they hardly have anything left. Right, we are going to let the dust settle, have a chat, and we will be back in a moment to give you our thoughts on the game. So, we've had a chance to have a chat about it, and Stephanie, how do you think that went?
I can't believe how that turned out.
Right, me neither, to be honest, but any particular thoughts as to what happened?
Your tanks just shot down most of my army with snapshots.
Yes, yeah, I can't really argue with that. They certainly did. When they fired in the first turn, the snap shooting really meant they didn't do much damage, but for turns 2, 3 and 4 for the World Eaters, hitting on 5s and 6s, well, frankly, didn't seem to matter that much. It's like they couldn't miss. And it certainly took out a lot of key units for the Raven Guard. But is there anything in particular that you think really swung the game away from the Ravens and in favour of the World Eaters? Because at the end of turn 2, to be honest, I thought that the Raven Guard were going to table the World Eaters, and it just hasn't turned out that way.
Your last despoiler on the middle objective, that was 5 points because he passed panic and pinning.
Yeah, he did, certainly. Right on the middle objective there. The last despoiler, he took fire from the Recon Marines on top of the ridge, and he was the only survivor. As I said at the time, he rolled a double 1 for his panic check, but we also did remember he had to take pinning as well, and he passed that, I think, with a roll of a 4. And he has line 2, so that was 5 points. And if you look at the final victory point score, that alone was enough to really swing it in terms of the points in favour of the World Eaters. To be honest, I think the key for the World Eaters was that they had the 2 squads of despoilers. Both of them had line, both of them scored the objectives. And that was a lot of points just from line, so it made a huge difference. In contrast, even though the Raven Guard did massive damage to the World Eaters, in fact, as you can see, they slaughtered all the World Eater infantry. There is not a single World Eater left outside of the tanks. They didn't actually have any line units, and I think that really had an effect in the end, particularly with the Praetor having to jump out into the open there right at the end to claim the objective, and it didn't really go his way, did it?
But I didn't have any choice. I was 3 victory points behind, and the bikes can't control objectives, so I just had to take the risk. although
Yeah.
it didn't work this time.
No, fair enough. Almost did though. I mean, it did take the fire of all of the World Eater tanks in the last turn to take him out. I actually didn't realise that bikes as cavalry can't control objectives, so that's something learned as well. In terms of the units, really, I think the Raven Guard units were really nasty. The bikes absolutely wiped out the World Eaters veteran assault marines. They never really stood a chance, frankly, which was my fault. The veterans with melters were pretty good. The recon marines were good. The seekers, obviously. I mean, all the World Eaters officers went down pretty quickly. And of course, the Raven Guard Praetor did manage to smash one World Eater Centurion in a challenge. But yeah, it's just the fact that the World Eaters kept racking up those victory points. I'm still in a state of shock. I thought the Raven Guard had this game in the bag, but there you go. Did you enjoy the game?
Yeah, definitely. Most of the traitors went down, so that was something at least.
That's it. There's some vengeance has been enacted on the traitors for the Dropsite Massacre at least, but this game just managed to swing in favour of the 12th Legion, thanks to some pretty canny victory point play and frankly a lot of luck from the long range firepower from the Land Raiders and the Predator. I really like the Predator with the heavy conversion beam cannon. It was really good this game. And the Land Raiders, well, I think Armour 14 is very a useful thing to have in 3rd edition. The Raven Guard Praetorians, they only turned up late in the game. Maybe if they'd have gone into the centre and started to contest the objectives, it would have helped. But the poor old Contemptor over here with his las cannon, he could not deal with all those tanks really. And the multi-melters on the Rhinos were far better at taking out infantry than they were vehicles this game. But it was a great, close game. I'm amazed at the twist about halfway through, but there you go. That's how it happens sometimes. I hope you've enjoyed watching this game. Please do spare a second for a couple of cheeky little clicks on like and subscribe, and do let us know your thoughts in the comments as well. I will be back. Stephanie will be back. So we will see you soon.